Welcome to my channel. The kids, bless them. You know they're so strong, they're so courageous, and to be able to bring a smile or a giggle. It means everything in the world to me, you know. It's far more than making a little girl offers Caitlin Clark her sandwich, but she was unprepared for the aftermath of her kind gesture. Emma was the kind of child who noticed things others often overlooked, while other kids might giggle and play without a care. Emma often paused to observe the world around her, paying attention to the small things: a stray dog's wagging tail, the puddles on the pavement, or the weary look in a stranger's eyes. She had an innate ability to sense when someone or something needed kindness. At just 6 years old, she had a heart far bigger than her tiny frame. Emma's family lived in a cozy house on the edge of a small town. Life was modest but warm. Her mother, Rachel, worked long hours at a local bakery and took on weekend shifts at a cafe to keep their bills paid. Life wasn't always easy for them, but Rachel had taught Emma the value of generosity. Even when they had little to spare, it was a lesson Emma took to heart. But sharing her sandwich with Caitlin Clark that fateful afternoon wasn't planned. Meanwhile, on the other side of the country, Caitlin Clark was quietly unraveling to the world. She was a basketball legend known for her incredible skill and magnetic presence, but behind the scenes her life was a whirlwind. For years, Caitlin had been navigating intense pressure, facing endless media attention, and wrestling with a deep sense of isolation. The headlines had turned her life into a circus, making her a constant target of speculation and scrutiny. Even in her sleek city apartment surrounded by awards and accolades, she felt utterly alone. Fame, she had come to realize, often came at the cost of real connection. When a trusted teammate suggested she take a break, Caitlin hesitated. She hated the idea of stepping away. She wasn't sure escaping would help, but after another exhausting week of cameras in her face and strangers dissecting her every move, she agreed to try it. Caitlin packed a small bag, told her crew not to follow, and drove until she reached a quiet town where she could blend in. The town had a gentle charm: no arenas, no spotlights, just winding streets and a park framed by golden trees. She rented a simple cottage on the town's outskirts, far from the chaos of her high-profile life. The days passed slowly in the town, the kind of place where everyone seemed to know each other. Caitlin kept to herself, hiding under caps and sunglasses, fading into the background. Her routine became predictable. She'd wake up, brew tea, and walk to the park. There she'd sit on the same bench, watching the world go by. Without really joining it, she avoided eye contact, tugging her CP lower whenever someone passed. She wasn't just hiding from the world, she was hiding from herself, hoping to find peace in the quiet. But solitude brought its own struggles. Each calm day led to restless nights filled with overthinking. Her mind replayed doubts, regrets, and big questions. Peace didn't come easily. Her thoughts were heavy, her heart even heavier. On one such afternoon, Caitlin found herself on a worn bench in the park. The crisp autumn wind rustled the golden leaves above. She hadn't eaten all day, too lost in her brooding to notice. Her empty thermos sat beside her as she hunched over, staring at the ground. That was how Emma found her, a woman on the edge of despair, her spirit as worn as the bench she sat on, completely unaware of what was about to happen for Emma. That day had started like any other. As the autumn breeze swept through the streets, she'd gone to school, played with her friends, and looked forward to her mom's after-work routine of stopping by the bakery. Emma had tagged along to see Rachel, who poured a cup of tea, while Emma, excited as always, ordered her favorite, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. While Rachel chatted with a coworker handing over her shift, Emma's gaze drifted to the park across the street. "Mom, can we sit in the park for a while?" Emma asked, her breath misting in the cool air. Rachel glanced at her watch. She had a cafe shift soon, but the way Emma looked up at her with those wide hazel eyes made her soften. "All right, but just for a bit." The park was peaceful. That day, Emma skipped ahead, her braids bouncing, but she stopped short when she saw a woman sitting alone on a weathered bench beneath a canopy of fiery orange leaves. She wasn't like the others walking through the park or tossing crumbs to the birds. She sat still, her face shadowed by a cap and sunglasses. Her slumped posture and the way she gripped her jacket against the chill made Emma pause. There was something about her that tugged at Emma's heart. She looked lonely, almost unseen, like she didn't want to be noticed. But Emma Notice she always did. The woman looked sad. Her shoulders were hunched, her face hidden by the cap, and sunglasses. A scarf was looped around her neck, but her thin jacket seemed too light for the sharp wind. Her hands folded in her lap, trembled slightly. Mom, Emma whispered, tugging Rachel's sleeve. That lady looks sad. I think she needs a friend. Rachel followed her daughter's gaze. She saw the woman, noticed the tiredness in her posture. She hesitated. It wasn't uncommon to see people struggling in their town, and she didn't want to alarm Emma or step into something awkward. Maybe she's just resting, she said gently, but Emma couldn't shake the feeling that the woman needed something. Can I give her my sandwich? She asked, her eyes bright with resolve. Rachel looked at her daughter, then back at the woman. She wavered for a moment. Money was tight, and the sandwich was Emma's favorite treat, but she saw the determination in Emma's face and knew she couldn't stop her. Go ahead, sweetheart. She sure looks like she could use someone to talk to, but be polite with that nudge. Emma didn't hesitate. She skipped across the street, sandwiching hand, her braids swaying with each step. She had no clue who the woman was, no idea. She was stepping into the world of someone adored by millions, yet feeling invisible. She approached cautiously, her small feet crunching over the leaves. The woman didn't notice her at first, too lost in her thoughts. Hi, Emma's soft voice cut through the rustle of leaves. The woman lifted her head slowly under the shadow of her cap and glasses. Emma could see faint lines of exhaustion and eyes that held a sadness she couldn't fully grasp. Hello, the woman said, her voice quiet and oddly familiar. You look hungry, Emma said, simply holding out her sandwich. You can have mine. When she offered her sandwich, Caitlin looked at her like she'd just been given the world. She blinked, caught off guard. For a moment, she didn't move, as if unsure Emma was real. For Caitlin, that small act of kindness cracked the walls she'd built around herself. She didn't know this little girl didn't understand why she'd noticed her, but the gesture reminded her of something she'd nearly forgotten. Humanity. A small, genuine smile tugged at her lips. Thank you, she murmured, taking the sandwich with both hands. You're welcome, Emma said brightly, then skipped back to her mother, leaving the woman sitting there, sandwich in hand, her heart unexpectedly lighter. Little did Emma know the woman she just helped wasn't a random stranger, but Caitlin Clark, one of the most famous athletes in the world. She'd been going through a tough time, retreating to this quiet town to find peace away from the glare of stadium lights. What Emma couldn't imagine was that her small act of kindness had touched Caitlin in a way that would echo far beyond that park bench. 3 days later, Rachel was flipping through a newspaper at the kitchen table while Emma drew quietly nearby. As Rachel turned to page, her heart skipped a beat. Staring back at her was the woman from the park. She wore the same cap and scarf, but now her name was in bold print below the photo. Caitlin Clark, basketball star, spotted taking a break in small town. Rachel's eyes scanned the article. It described Caitlin's retreat from the spotlight, seeking quiet places to escape the demands of fame. Emma, Rachel called softly, her voice steady despite her racing thoughts. Emma looked up, curious, and Rachel pointed at the page. That's her, the lady from the park. Emma leaned closer and gasped, the sandwich lady. Rachel nodded, flipping to another page with photos of Caitlin's iconic games. She's a big athlete, Emma. People all over the world know her. Emma studied the pictures, her brow furrowing, but she didn't seem like a big athlete. She just seemed sad. Rachel smiled, faintly touched by her daughter's simple view. Even people who seem to have everything can feel sad sometimes. What you did for her meant more than you know. Across town, Caitlin was thinking about the sandwich girl. Over the next few days, she couldn't stop replaying the moment. It wasn't just the food, it was what it stood for. The girl had no idea who she was, yet she saw her cared. Maybe it's time to stop hiding, Caitlin said to herself. She spent the day figuring out how to give back. Money wasn't the issue. She could send a check and move on, but that didn't feel right. She wanted Emma and her family to know what they'd done for her. After some thought, Caitlin decided how to repay the little girl's kindness. 7 days later, Caitlin stood at Emma's door, her heart pounding as she knocked, unsure how she'd be received. Who could that be? Rachel wondered aloud, wiping her hands on a towel. She opened the door to find the woman from the park, Caitlin Clark, holding a big basket of cookies and flowers. Good evening, Caitlin said with a warm smile, her natural charm shining through. Hope I'm not intruding. I'm here to see Emma. Emma peeked out from behind her mother, her eyes lighting up with recognition. It's you, you're Caitlin Clark. Caitlin chuckled, kneeling to meet her gaze. You figured it out. How you've seen me play. I saw your pictures in the paper, Emma exclaimed. You're in basketball games. Emma beamed, but her curiosity bubbled up. Why were you so sad? Caitlin paused, glancing at Rachel before answering. Sometimes life feels heavy even when it looks perfect from the outside. She handed Emma the basket. This is For you, Emma's face lit up as she peeked inside. For me, all for you. You gave me something when I needed it most, a reminder that kindness still exists. I wanted to thank you properly, Caitlin said. Emma grinned as she took the gift, while Rachel, still stunned, invited Caitlin in for tea over cups of chamomile. Caitlin spent the evening with them, sharing stories, not just about her fame. She explained how that moment on the bench had shifted her outlook. She'd been struggling, feeling worn down by the world, nearly ready to give up, but Emma's selfless act had shown her that even in dark times there was light. Before leaving, Caitlin handed Emma a signed photo and gave Rachel an envelope. This is just a little something to help out, she said humbly. After Caitlin left, Rachel opened the envelope and found a check enough to cover their rent for years and fund Emma's future education. When Caitlin drove away that night, she left more than a basket and a check. She left a piece of herself, a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness can pull someone back from the edge. Her heart was lighter, her spirit renewed, carrying the memory of a little girl who gave her a sandwich, and in doing so gave her so much more. Though Caitlin returned to her fast-paced basketball life, she never forgot the little girl with the jelly sandwich who reminded her of the goodness in the world. Sometimes the simplest gestures can change lives in ways we never expect. Though Caitlin didn't return to their town, she carried their story with her, sharing it in interviews and inspiring others to practice small acts of kindness. Months passed after that unexpected park encounter, but life went on for Emma and Rachel, though with a new sense of hope and security. Caitlin's gift had eased their struggles, letting Rachel cut back her cafe shifts and spend more time with Emma. They'd moved into a slightly bigger house with Caitlin's help, but they stayed the same kind-hearted people they'd always been. Years later, Rachel would look back on that day in the park as the moment everything shifted, not just for their family, but for everyone touched by Emma's simple act. Though they never saw Caitlin again, her presence lingered, not as a celebrity, but as a symbol of humanity and gratitude. For Emma, that single act of giving became a cornerstone of her life. The story wasn't about helping a star, it was about helping someone in need. As she grew, she carried that same generous spirit, offering kindness wherever she went, confident that even the smallest gestures could have the greatest impact. What do you think about the little girl's gesture? Do you think kindness can have such a big impact? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video on your screen. You'll enjoy it. Thank you.